So my first trade on the day was FNHC, and this one was really clean. So right off the open, I noticed that we had really nice range on the daily. So I'll go ahead and go over the daily and show you that. So you can see like daily has a tendency to pop up to this like 47. This day we had a high of 57. Previous days we have highs of 60s. So I was like, okay, how much volume did we need realistically to make this move? And looking back, we needed like 2 million in volume. We needed 2 million in volume here again. This one over here, we had a little more volume, about 3 million. So I noticed that and I was like, okay, so if we have 2 million in volume already in the pre-market session, there's a very high probability that this is going to replicate what it did in the past. So that's why I was like, FNHC, really nice range on the daily. Room to 57s, only needed 2 million volume to do that, and we currently have 1.79 million. So once I noticed that, I decided to keep this as my main watch. And as soon as we opened up, buyers stepped in. We had an inflow of buyers and we started continuing higher. Let me add my advanced volume 1 second. So buyers stepped in, and right on this pullback we were kind of holding the body of this candle here, which was 39 cents, and this is where I got long, right here on this pivot hold. I got long at 0.40 exactly. My first take profit was right on the break over this wick over here. I'll zoom in so you can see that right over here. So as soon as we broke over this, I took my first piece off at 42, and as we started extending, I took my second piece off at 44, and then we had this quick pop into like 47 cents, and I completely cut my position at, I believe it was 47 cents. So right here on this pop. Then I was flipped over to my 3-minute, and I noticed we're starting to pull in. We started creating this 3-minute flag. That's the flag that I mentioned over here. And I actually re-added. I got the same average, 0.40 average right down here, same risk. And as soon as this one started opening up, I took my first piece off at this high right over here, I'm sorry, where did I take my first piece off at? My first piece came off at 42, so it would have been on the break over this body, also kind of acting as support. I wanted to make sure we weren't going to get rejected or anything. Took my first piece off at 42, second piece came off on the break of this high over here, which was 45 cents. And then we had this kind of parabolic rise into 49s, and I took my last piece off right over this high of 47 cents. The reason I did that is because we had this really sharp rise in price, and I remember looking at the tape, and this 47, 48 area, a lot of sellers. And I actually wrote that over here. I'm like, a lot of sellers, 46, 47, scaling more. So then I flipped back over to the 1-minute, and I noticed we kind of had this little downtrend setting up over here, kind of a descending wedge in a way. And when we got this break over, volume stepped in, and at the time this was green. We were pushing high. It eventually stopped, and I took a starter here on this retest at 44 cents. So right when we retested, I got long at 44 cents. We came up to about 45 some, almost 46. I didn't take any off the table because I thought, okay, here's our little downtrend break. We're gonna try and continue higher for the highs, and that ultimately that did not happen. Seller stepped in and we got smacked down, and I caught my piece right on the break of this EMA at 43.7. So I gave a little bit back from these two trades, overall green on the name, and this was a really small paper cut, nothing that I'm too worried about. And then we had the follow through on the move down, and we came into this area. We were holding this pre-market high over here. I'll go ahead and mark that for you. And I noticed this is something that's been happening a lot lately. We've been getting these dumps, however, there's no follow through on these dumps. We usually get the first dump followed by consolidation, and it's usually really light volume. There's a lot of names lately that have been doing this. For example, switch over to another chart really quickly. Right over here, APDN, big volume dump, low volume consolidation, no follow through, the shorts get squeezed. And we're also holding over our initial high a day. In FNHC's case, we were holding over our pre-market high, and that's when I noticed that, and I put it in the chat. I'm just looking for it. FNHC still holding over pre-market highs. Could see that U shape here. As soon as I said that, we got the break over our EMA 8. I got long at 40 cents right here over here. And as soon as I did that, we had a crazy pop right through VWAP, and we had a parabolic move all the way into 53s. I'm looking at my sells right now. Got in at 40, took some off 42 on the break of this area over here. Took another piece off at 45 again on the break through the highs. And then my last piece came off on the squeeze at about 50 cents. And then I did try playing it right here. I did get a scalp out of it. When we came down and started holding this previous high over here, kind of as support, I decided, okay, I'm pretty green on this name at the time. Let me see, if we can get that confirmation of support and continue higher. So I remember I got long here, 47 something. Took some off 48, then ultimately on the break of 47 I cut the remaining piece. So this name was really nice. This move here was really nice. Clean move in the morning, and then this downtrend break, failed me out, but it's okay. So those were my trades on FNHC. And then there was another name, LASE, and this one actually had a 5-minute flag in the morning over a pivot. So we broke over, not exactly pre-market highs, but this wick comes down, so my line should be down here. But we break over our pre-market highs, and then we have this, confirmation of support here. And when we confirm that as support, we kind of paint this 5-minute flag here. We have our flag pole, little flag, and then I had this 316 daily level that I charted in the morning, and I actually got it from the 4 hours, so I'll go ahead and show you that. So this was actually a 4-hour level right over here, 316s. And I was like, okay, so we have a 5-minute flag. Let's see if we can get our push into 316. So I got long here at $2.92 on this 3-minute flag. Took my first piece off on the break over these, resistance areas right over here at about $3. And then when we had this kind of parabolic pop into our high a day, I cut the remaining piece at 307. And we did have our pop into 316s. Eventually, we sold off and knifed here. So I think I played it pretty well. However, I do think I should have waited a little longer so I can, get that move into 316 rather than, just cut near the high day. And that's something that I've been doing lately, and I need to work on it. So that was lace. And then later in the day, on lace, I noticed that we had the same pattern that we had on majority of the other names, which was big volume dump and low volume consolidation. So down here, I noticed, we had some failed follow through on this dump, a couple taps of initial low a day, and I decided to get long at 288 with a risk off of 280, somewhere right about here. And I know Fizz was on this in chat, and when it started moving, I was like watching this now. So I grabbed some here at 288 on the break, confirmation of VWAP. We had our pop into $3, which would have been this previous resistance right over here. I took my first piece off at $3, and then we had a quick pop into about 310s, which would be right over here, also our previous highs. And this is where I exited my second piece, and you can see, clearly we continued way higher. We had a pop all the way to 330s, but my mindset here was like, okay, shorts are trying to take this down. Let's see if we get some fresh longs. I can get a quick scalp out of it, going into lunch or going into the afternoon, sorry. So overall, really nice trades on this name, LASE. I know Gary was on it. He was looking for new highs. Yeah, right over here. He was looking for new highs, and we got that move, really nice move. Looking back at it now, I should have, we did break this 310. We did hold it as support, or well, not 310 exactly, but about 307 area. And I should have noticed that. I should have noticed it more on the tape, but I was really like in the kind of the scalp mindset. So that's why I decided to cut and, just take my gain and move on about my day. And then we had Peggy. This was one that Mikey had called out. I'll look for his call out somewhere here. 5-minute flag. Oh, I believe it was earlier in the day. So many messages I probably won't be able to find it. Anyways, so Mikey had this 5-minute flag set up here, and right when we started popping up to this area, I got long 466, and as soon as I got long, you know, we had a couple candles into 457s. I was not worried because we were holding this flat top resistance as support here, and really light volume on the pullback, high buying, light volume, kind of painting a 1-minute flag. I believe that's what also what I seen on this name. Yeah. So we kind of have this 1-minute flag over here, and then like out of nowhere we get this pop into 470s. My first piece came off in the 470s. I believe it was 473, and then we have like this big pullback into our 457 area. Held our trade line, you know, buyers started stepping in, selling pressure was like minimizing, so I was like, okay, something's gonna happen here. One of these, either the buyers are going to come in and overtake it, or the sellers are going to come in and smack it down. So excuse me, in our case the buyers stepped in, and as soon as we had this parabolic pop into fives, I just pressed sell at market, and I got filled at $4.88, so it would be right about here. So I guess, you know, as it was coming down, I sold out, and I think I played it pretty well. I think I could have got better average on this flag. However, you know, it was a really clean move into 5, and I sold out completely. I'm glad I did. You know, we had this big dump later on. I want to find Mikey's message because I know Mikey was going, whole chat was going crazy on it. Yeah, well, here's the first flag that he mentioned. You know, we had our pop into 507. Can't find his exact message where he mentioned it, and then eventually, you know, everyone tried playing it again later here, and ultimately it had a big dump. Those are everything for me on the day. Sorry about that. Yeah, those were everything that I traded on the day, I believe. Yeah, those were everything that I traded. Did you trade anything, Mario? You there, Mario?
Yes, I did trade. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I traded FNHC.
Okay, what did you trade on this one?
I started in the pre-market when it first popped and then it pulled back.
Yeah, I see it kind of had this flag.
I traded that. I think the volume was, it looked like a good, I don't know, a good pullback on low volume. So
Yeah, I see this flag set up.
trade. And then I traded that again at 9, around like 9:20, because it was holding that level. I remember Mikey said something about you know, when a stock flushes and then it doesn't break that key level. It looks like there's a pre-market pivot right there too.
Yeah, we were
So
holding over this as
yeah, it
support.
was just holding that. So I took a position, but I sold too early. I sold right before. Well, I sold after we broke VWAP.
Broke VWAP to the upside.
Yeah, yeah, to the upside. Yeah.
Oh, your chart, you must have your VWAP on a different setting because on mine we held VWAP into the open.
Oh no, Yeah, yeah. No, Okay, maybe I have a different time than you. I'm in a different time zone. I think at 9:18 or 9:20. Is it 10:20 for you?
What's your time zone?
I'm in Central.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. So if you're 9, this would be about 10. So right over here when we broke below VWAP.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
okay, yeah,
holding
makes sense.
a pre-market pivot right there.
Yeah,
But
we
yeah,
break
what's
below
going on?
VWAP and yeah, we had this like consolidation over here on really light volume.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of hesitant on that, but I took it because there's kind of a pivot there from pre-market. I think there's a wick that
Yep,
goes all the way
exactly.
up there, and so I wasn't sure if I should go off the wick or the body, but I went off the wick that time.
Yeah, yeah. That's literally the same play I did, so nice. I actually played this one as well on the 40 break over here. Really nice. Did you trade anything else or was FNHC your only trade?
I traded Job Y, JOBY, and it was a bad trade for me. Maybe I'm struggling with how to identify pivots, but in the pre-market, just before opening, I saw that the stock came down. What is it? 436. You see that?
436. Right over here.
Um, yeah. You have a line drawn there. Yeah.
Yup, yup. On this little downtrend, yeah.
Yeah. Just before like a knife down.
Yeah, so right here, right
Yeah.
before the open.
Yeah. That line. Yeah, I have that same line drawn actually. So that's the pivot I was going off of.
Yup,
And I saw,
436.
some volume come into it. And so I was in a position right there.
Oh, and you just got caught in this nasty rejection. I see it tried pushing
Yeah.
up and then ultimately sellers just stuffed it and it, ended up crashing all
Yeah,
the way down.
I got out as soon as it went below the pivot.
Okay, nice. So you
But
managed risk very well on it. Good job.
but then yeah, I started to question myself. Is that even a real pivot?
No,
I
it
wasn't
is.
even sure.
It is. You could see, and I'll tell you why it is a real pivot. You can see right here, resistance, we break over, confirm as support. Kind of have a retest here, not really. If it's truly strong, it's not going to come all the way back down to the pivot. And then we have our retest over here, we held. Then ultimately, we had this downtrend line, and something I think you should have noticed a little better was how many times we were getting rejected. Like normally when we have a, a downtrend line like this, normally what I'll do is I'll wait for something like this to happen. So if we have our downtrend line, I'll wait for the stock to make sure this is not huge. So normally I'll wait for the stock to break over, retest our trend line, maybe consolidate for a second, and then continue higher, and then possibly test this area and then this area. But usually for a downtrend, I don't really like buying in the downtrend because there is a high probability you could fail at this support level. So always when playing a downtrend, it's better to wait for that break over the trend line, wait for the retest on low volume, and then a fresh pair of longs will come in, and that will usually send the market higher.
So yeah, my question is, how do you draw those kind of trend lines? Because I'm looking at yours, and for the top part it goes through, and then the middle and the last one it's
Yeah, so the reason why I didn't connect them, like, sure, you could have connected them up here and, you could make it, look a lot better, but the reason I had them like that is because these were wicks. I didn't really want to count the wicks. So I wanted to count this as the high. And ultimately, when you're drawing trend lines, you just kind of got to draw them so they can kind of, how do I put this, like, just so they
Can
can
you
work.
capture as many pivots? Or
As many highs in this case, correct, yeah. So every time, you could see we had this, because if you go to a larger time frame, this is just a wick. I'm not really worried about the wick. I really want the body. And you could see, we had this pipe top, and eventually we sold off, but I connected it from this wick down, and this is just what looked the best to me. And usually when drawing trend lines, you just kind of gotta go off of what looks the best. So see what happens later in the day. Yeah, so this is a good example of a retest. See how we break over it and then retest it here?
yeah,
Yeah, we retested it on low volume. Also broke over our trade line, which is our EMA 9, held it as support, retested the trend line on low volume, and then buyers came in and we made the move to VWAP. So this is actually a pretty good example. I'm sure if I go on the 1 minute, it'll look a lot better. Yeah, so right over here, we break over, we retest it. It's not always going to be exactly, but
yeah.
looking at level 2 and stuff like that will help you, actually see the buyers stepping in. But this is a good example of a retest, something that you should look for.
Okay, yeah, that definitely clarified that thing for me.
Nice. But yeah, this was a nice pivot. It just, didn't hold. And something about playing the openings, there's a lot of, like, I wouldn't call it manipulation at the open, but there's a lot of volume coming in and out at the open. And
Yeah,
if you're on the wrong side of that volume, you get it stuck in a move like this. So, like, maybe going forward, and, of course, do as you please. But me as a trader, I don't really like to trade the open. I like to usually give it, a couple of minutes, see what's going on. Like, if we had a move up through this trend line and we did retest on the 1 minute, like I showed you on that drawing, then yeah, I probably would have got into the position because now there's an actual setup. But for me, like, looking at this, there's no setup in this until we get over this trend line.
okay. And then, yeah, keep in mind the EMA, like you said, that acts as a resistance in this case. So
Exactly.
that's, in
Correct.
addition to the trend line, that's another way for me to confirm that, the
Yeah.
sellers are in control.
Yeah, like if you look left, like when we were climbing up, kind of held it as support, and then we kind of followed the trade line all the way up, and then we broke below it here, confirmed it as resistance, and then we couldn't really get back over. You see all these wicks, every time we came up to the trade line and tried to break over it, we just got rejected. Right over here as well, we got rejected. Right here, we got rejected, but then, enough buyers stepped in, broke over, tried to hold, but ultimately, got rejected,
Okay.
came down and double bottomed in this area, and then finally broke over, got the retest, and buyers stepped in, and we had that move higher.
That makes sense. Yeah, this is the one mistake I kept making. I made it on SNTI as well today, but now I think I understand. I
Okay.
understand it very well.
Where'd you play SNTI?
It's literally almost the same mistake. The opening, I saw. So I try to draw that pivot. Let me see where it is on the bottom of my chart. So just I guess, yeah, first I saw the stock. I didn't actually buy it right away. I saw that it went up, on what looked like really good volume and
Definitely.
momentum in the opening, and it broke over VWAP, and then it came back down below what seemed like lower volume, and so then I bought it at like 368. Because when I look left, I kind of see that in pre-market it came down that low to 368.
Yeah, I see that here.
Then again, it's bearish. The EMAs are pushing it down,
Correct.
and then there's no, and even the one, the green candles they don't really have strong volume either.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm good job for noticing that because yeah, looking at it now, like every time we pushed up, it was on really light volume, and every time we came down, you can see sellers were
Yeah,
clearly overtaking it. A tip for the future: normally when like I'm assuming you're trying to play like momentum.
yeah,
Yeah, so when you want to play momentum, focus on the names with the highest volume or like fresh catalysts. So like for example, names on the top gainers, because these will usually have the best range and they'll already have so many eyes on them. So you'll get that, for example, like FNHC move, or for example, like any of the ones that ran today, you have a higher probability of finding them from the top gainers or from like previous runners. Like SNTI, I can see why you thought maybe today would be the day it opens up, but
yeah.
just looking
Maybe
left,
SNTI for, yeah, maybe for tomorrow because I was looking at the whole chart, for today, and it did form like a strong pivot.
yeah, I
There's a
can
double bottom there.
yeah, I can also see we're struggling to get over this level, also view up, but like just overall in general, looking at this name, we're in a clear downtrend at the moment. You could see, all the way
Yeah,
from yesterday's highs, we're in a clear downtrend, and I believe we did break it. Let me extend this trend line. Yeah, so we did break it. We are consolidating. So like normally to get something like this going again, we're gonna need like a fresh catalyst or a lot of volume. Like look at the volume it had this day, crazy
yeah,
volume,
true.
and then look at the volume it had now. Like the can barely even see it. Even if you zoom in, like it's very very light compared to this day over here. Then another thing, like if we look at the daily, you can see we're slowly giving out all of these support areas. So we have our pivot here of 413s. We broke that. Also broke below our trade line, which lines up with the 413 pivot. Also broke our 445 support, and then our wick. Like this is gonna be our last area right here. I think if SNTI gets below 357, like sure we did, but buyers sucked it back up. But I think if SNTI gets below 357 and can't get back over it, then might be the end of the move for now until the company releases some type of catalyst or shorts get trapped for some apparent reason or something like that.
Okay, that makes sense.
Were those your only trades on the day, or did you have any more?
I think those were, there was a trade that I hesitated on that actually went.
What was the
It
name?
was FNGR. I was, yeah,
Okay.
I mean let me pull up. Yeah, basically it was, or no, it wasn't FNGR. It was Peggy. Sorry about that.
You're
My
fine.
Apple.
Okay.
I was looking at the 3 minute chart, and I saw what looked like a flag. It went up at like 9:45 for you. It went up with strong volume and then pulled back to
Yep.
around 450 area.
Yep. Right around this pre-market high over
Yeah,
here.
I looked left. I saw a pivot there, I guess. But then I just saw like these crazy wicks, on there with dojis and things like that.
Yeah. This definitely it was a spready stock. So you
So
like
yeah, yeah, I mean, I just watched it and watched it go. And so, how do you manage plays like this where it's very spread out?
so normally if you're not comfortable playing a spready stock, like just as blunt as possible, just don't play it. But if you do want to play it, there's a lot of things you can do. Size down, obviously, so your risk is minimized. Identify your risk always. Like looking at it now, like even this initial high day pivot over here kind of lines up with the pre-market pivot. You could see this would have been like a great area to start loading dips. So like when you've seen when you see like this pivot's holding and then you get that short candle into this area, don't necessarily get afraid. These are very good buying opportunities. These wicks tell you that buyers are down here, and this is the reason why we came back up. And then another thing, if you look at your volume, coming down, when we started wicking down, all of these volume sticks were very light here. Where else? Very light here, very light here. Over here, you could see we had higher volume on the dump, but buyers came in, sucked it back up, and ultimately, we didn't come down to this area again. Then other things you can do is like, you can draw trend lines. So if you just had a trend line like this connecting this high, then you could see, okay, we came down again, we held our trend, this would be a good buying opportunity. Came up again, came back down, you can see this is another buying opportunity. And then, when we break it here, then you can make the decision of, okay, do I want to get off, or do I want to get in on this 450 area pivot, or do I want to sit it out? But ultimately, you can't be afraid of these wicks. These wicks are, to the downside, the wicks are good. They're telling you buyers are here and they're present. So some things you can do is analyze the volume a little better, trade smaller size if it's spready and you don't want to lose a lot. Obviously identify your risk, and with time you'll just get better at it, and you'll see things like this and it'll just become second nature, where, okay, shoot, we're getting buyers down here, this is where I should be getting in. Like, ultimately I can see why you didn't want to get in. It's very whippy.
Yeah, but I mean the EMAs are right there. Are you using the 9 EMA?
Correct, yeah, I'm using the VWAP and the 9 EMA.
So that kind of confirms strength as well.
Exactly, right over here on this kind of flag setup, we, even though we came down into this pre-market high area over here in this initial high day area, we ultimately, the bodies of the candles were holding over our VWAP and our EMA, which is a very strong signal. And so, like, just looking at it now, it's easier to notice it now, because the chart's all said and done, there's no emotions flowing through your system. But going forward, like, all these things that you just mentioned as well are great things that you can notice and start paying attention to try and find that entry, because this gave a really nice move. I remember I was in this one at 466, caught the move into fives. But like, if you had a 438 or 440 average all the way down here, and then you caught this move into five, like, that's a really nice gain.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, thank you, Salah.
Of
If
course.
anybody else has, charts they want to look over too.
Yeah, definitely. If, just like Mario said, if anyone else has anything they want to look at, go over, shoot.
Hey man, can you hear me?
What's up, ticker traders?
Oh man, first of all, thanks for doing this at a decent hour. I really appreciate it.
Definitely. I
And
honestly seen that you were on, and so I was like, you know what, maybe I should do a review right now.
yeah, this is great. I really appreciate it, man.
Of
Thanks a
course.
lot. I don't know if you went over. I traded Peggy, PEGY. I
Yeah.
actually got in it right there at 450 and traded it up to 480 at 10 a.m. So that was
Nice.
the one I took, but you already went over that one kind of. And I came in kind of late because I was messing around with that snipping tool, but I also traded LASE. I traded that one in pre-market at 9:10 a.m. I don't know if you went over that or not yet. I got in here kind of late.
Yeah, no, I did, but like, that was my trade on it, so definitely, we could go over your trade on it, no problem.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't a 5-minute flag or anything. It was at 9:10 a.m. in pre-market, and I had noticed it had hit in up to 260. I think it was 260
Yeah.
prior to that, and then you had that consolidation going on, and I noticed it dropped down and it tapped that 20 EMA, and then buyers stepped in and pushed it right back up to 260,
Yep, I see
and
that.
so I got in right there, um, thinking it would break the previous pre-market high, but then I held it through the open because I was risking off of 250, I believe it was.
Okay, nice.
So it was 10 cent risk, and never hit it. I held it, and I ended up trading that one from 260 to two. Well, I got out twice. When it went in the morning, it went up to I think three something. Started to come back down, and looked like 290 was holding. There was a block at 290, and so I ended up getting out at like 292 and got out the rest at 290. So those were my only two trades I made today, but
Really
both
nice.
pretty decent.
Yeah, no, really nice. Nice catching this pivot as well. Really nice trade. Really nice entry. Very low risk, and ultimately you reaped all the rewards you could. Really nice, man. Good job.
Yeah, yeah. It don't always happen like that, but today was pretty decent. I actually like coming on and talking about my losers because they seem to help me a lot more. But
Yeah. Did you have any
decent
losers, or
trades.
I know you said these were your only two trades on the day, so
Yeah, those were the only two I took. After
okay.
that, I had finished, but I think it was like 10. It was before I got out. It was probably like 10:20 or something around that time. But anyway, I was done, and then I just went to bed. Man.
Nice, man. Caught a little ripper and right back to bed. Those are the best kind of mornings.
Yeah, I kind of miss out on after hours or during power hour from 3 p.m. I know there's been a little bit of follow through. Has there been follow through on other things or no?
Normally, I've been noticed. So we kind of have that same pattern going of things are opening up in the morning, they're dumping,
Yeah.
and then they're giving us that one last leg, in the afternoon or into the into power hour, and then from there either they sell off as Lace did, or they continue opening up. Like I know there was SHPH, I believe, today, or SHPC. Not sure what the ticker was. SCPH. Like I know this one was one that like all morning just consolidated, and I didn't play this one, but all morning we consolidated, and then ultimately broke over this pivot, held this support, and then we just had a crazy rally.
Holy cow.
Yeah, I remember my scanner was going crazy. Like I was watching this thing rise, and I'm like, dude, I don't want to take an entry here because like we're already so
That looks like a
stretched.
nice 5 minute flag there too around.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
yeah, right there.
yeah. Really nice flag. The VPA isn't the prettiest, um, but ultimately,
Oh
we
yeah.
did hold our trade line and it did work out. Looking at the top gainers right now to kind of see what else. Oh, another great one. This one I actually missed. I was playing Peggy, and I was actually looking to get long on this 5 minute flag setup right here. You can see, we have our, stick up, pull back in right over our 650 area pivot, our 660 area pivot. Nice bull flag here, and ultimately I didn't get in this one, but like we had our nice move up, consolidated kind of into the afternoon, and then look at this explosive move, dude, all the way from 660s to freaking nines. So like,
That's crazy. They
yeah,
didn't
I
have any new news or anything, did they?
news. I don't believe so.
I don't think they had. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just a
Which kind
previous
of
runner with.
amazes me. That, yeah. These multi-day runners running on no news is kind of
Yeah,
crazy how
I
they
th-
get them. But
I think we had news the first day, and then ultimate. I think what happened here was everyone that was short over here, they eventually covered into this move, and it engulfed this little short squeeze setup because we did have our move here, and I remember trading it over here. It was like very whipsaw. It was very up and down, and then ultimately I feel like shorts got trapped in it today, and this is why we got this. Like, look at this volume stick. Holy crap. And I think
yeah,
ultimately shorts got trapped. Like if you look left, we didn't even break below this pivot over here of 590s. But this is one that I failed to execute on because I was in Peggy at the time, and I seen this flag and I was like, man, this flag is so nice. I should get in it. But I was just focused on Peggy, and it not mad because I made money on Peggy, but like what a trade this would have been.
yeah, that's incredible. What time did
Yeah.
that happen around? It's hard for me to see the screen so small.
This was 10:15 a.m. on the flag, and like all day long, man, it just had that steady grind. into the close. So 10:15 Eastern is when we kind of had this flag set up, before it had that really nice move. Looking at the gainers right now, trying to see if there's any other good examples. Yeah, so kind of everything else, kind of had that morning dump, and then ultimately, ended up selling off. Like even this one, really nice pivot hold all the way from yesterday, and ultimately made a nice move from 180s all the way to 210s. So this is something to watch tomorrow, actually. The fact that we're still holding up in this area, APDN, could provide some nice moves tomorrow. Yeah. Then I know there was, I know Fizz was on this name.
On my watch list. I don't know why. Oh, we just dumped in the morning, it looks like.
Yeah, I remember we were playing it in the Goblin Gang. Fizz got long against this pivot. Really nice play. They had some scales, and then ultimately, you could, volume tells a story. Someone came in and said, "Screw your play," and shot it right back down.
They didn't want it above 265 for sure.
Yeah, but like overall, I think it's something worth watching because we do have this 190 area pivot. And you could see how many times it was respected. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it was all resistance support over here. So going into tomorrow, this is also something that can possibly provide some opportunities. Maybe not a crazy move, but if volume comes in, then who knows.
Yeah, those multi-day runners, I just basically look to scalp them because I never think, especially if they're trying to break out. I'm like, no, that's it. If they have moves and stuff, then yeah, I might hold them longer. But
Yeah. I'm on vacation trading mobile.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, of course.
See what I have, so.
Of course, Ticker Trade. I'm glad you could. I'm glad you finally were able to, catch us at the right time.
Me too.
Mobius Blaze says that they traded FNHC from 0.40 to 0.46. Okay, really nice. Yeah, there was a lot of opportunity. We had this dump, consolidation, failed follow through on the dump, and shorts eventually got squeezed. But yeah, really nice. Really nice trades on FNHC. Does anyone have anything else they want to go over? If not, I guess we'll call it here. I know it's getting a little late. No? Alrighty, guys. I'm going to call it here. Pleasure reviewing with you all, and I hope to catch you all tomorrow.
Thanks a lot, man.
Of course. Thank you for joining, Ticker Traders. Alright, guys. Enjoy your night. Take care.